All right, welcome back to the Coaches Show. Before we get into it, we just premiered for the first time ever in the history of Yellow Jacket football. We streamed the freshman game.
Oh, wow.
And we streamed the JV game on Yellow Jackets TV 2.
Absolutely.
That's
Very cool. Very cool.
That's something me and Mr. Vinzer over there have been working on to try to
It's exciting.
get more kids out on the stream so more parents,
Absolutely.
grandparents, uncles, aunts can watch their Yellow Jacket shine. So,
Absolutely. You may have parents work, parents out of town, parents
Yeah.
whatever, like as you mentioned, grandparents, extended family, get to live out of state, get to see their kids. I think that's awesome. So thank you guys so much for doing that. That's awesome.
So it's teamwork makes the dream work. So we got it going this year, and we've got more things that we're trying to do to improve basically the services that we can provide parents as far as
trying to stream all the home events if we can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
So we're getting there.
Good job.
Getting there. Now we'll talk about football. We were 1-1 in district.
Yep.
Okay. And we talked about it. Putnam City is for real.
Yeah. Good team.
They had some good elements of it. So I'm going to let you go talk about that game, and then let's go directly into offense and talk about the offense a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. As I wasn't surprised. I knew that, as we mentioned last week's show, Putnam City's a very good team, very well coached. Coach Alexander and his staff do a great job. And like always, the boring answer is really the truth. It's like, you have to worry about yourself all the time and just continually get better. You go watch film and, the old coaching adage is it's never as good as you think, it's never as bad as you think. And that was 100% true when you watch film. Obviously, a couple crucial mistakes, cost you the game that we have to clean up and try to do better. But there's also a lot of really good things, and so I was very, impressed with our defense on some stops and guys flying around, just continually giving great effort. And then also on offense, which we'll get into the players of the game here in just a moment. But I was impressed with our offensive line. You're starting to see those guys, starting to see some flashes of that kind of coming together and all those things. And so, I was really, really impressed in some areas. When you drop a game or win a game, you have to kind of just know where you're at, and we've been accustomed in Choctaw land winning every game, which is great, and I like that. But sometimes that doesn't happen, and so it really is always how do you respond to it. We've had a great week of practice. Kids have responded tremendously like champions, like I knew that they would, and then we also talk about not living the results, good or bad, and so I think that's important in sports, important in life. When something bad happens, you can't get super low. When something great happens, you can't get super high. You have to know who you are as a person. You have to know the man that God created you to be at all times and try to be a champion at all times, regardless of outcomes. Yeah. And be able to look yourself in the mirror and know, hey, did I do everything that I could do? I'm excited. Woke up Saturday, obviously disappointed, but also excited. I think winning can be exciting, losing can be exciting because obviously it gives yourself a chance to continually grow and get better. And I know that we can. So that's been kind of the message. Kids have received that really, really well. I've been able to tighten some things up, throughout the week in practice, both, team and everything like that. And our team and players have responded accordingly because they are champions. When we talk about walking to the stadium as champions, leave with the trophy. They've been champions, and so I'd expect nothing less than what they've been able to do. But again, hats off to Putnam City. And another pillar of our program is, we talk about doing simple better, and there were, a kickoff return for a touchdown, a botched PAT, on some little things like that. You take care of those two things, you win the game. Take care of one of those things, you win the game, right? So it's fine details, and we didn't take care of them, so we got to continue to try to refine that process and all those kind of things. But I know that our kids will, and we're excited. And ultimately in the district race, as you mentioned, you're 1-1. You still control your own destiny, all that. Nothing's really changed other than you got some problems exposed that we got to try to address and then continue to get there. So. But like I tell our kids all the time, like my love for them doesn't change. My love for the program doesn't change. Obviously, you want them to win because they're winners. They deserve to win. So we're going to keep working, try to continue to refine the process and get better. But again, as you mentioned, saw some really good things on Friday night, and want to continue to try to build on those moving forward. And switching over to offensive player of the game. For us as a coaching staff, a guy that we've just missed throughout the first several games that I thought really showed out when you watch this guy's just grit, his heart, his determination, all these kind of things. A player stood out that you're like, man, you got to get the ball in this guy's hands, and just his absolute just fierceness that he runs the ball with. Our offensive player of the game was Mary Morgan.
Okay. I have a similar thing. I first of all, I wanted to comment on the touchdown return that they had, it looked like a great play for us. And then the ball just happened to bounce in stride.
Sometimes it doesn't.
And that's the beauty of the
absolutely.
game is you keep playing, you keep playing, you keep playing.
Absolutely.
And that's why you play the game. It's not
Right.
won or loss on paper.
And, you know, not to cut you off, but, you know, I probably failed to mention, you know, I was very, very impressed with our kids, you know, finding a way to go score with 0-0 left in
Yeah.
the clock, right?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
should have
yeah.
been tied up or go ahead victory, you know, and really impressed with our kids. You know, that's what champions do, right? Champions find a way, you know, and those guys found a way, didn't blink, you know, go score, you know, with 0 time left on the clock. And, you know, obviously did turn out in our favor with the PAT, but, you know, still to their credit, you know, found a way to, you know, turn it on. But, you know, kind of what you're mentioning with the bounce is like, as a coach, you hope to not put yourself in that position where one bounce changes the trajectory of the game. And, you know, obviously that was the case on Friday. So obviously we have to do better.
But my players' game, you know, it's good to see the mayor back there
Yeah,
again.
absolutely.
Yes.
It's hard to not give him player of the game a lot.
Right.
But I had to have a co just because I don't want to give it to the mayor or give it to, you know, Landon every single time because their senior leadership,
Right.
like I could see it from way up in the skybox. I also thought Romeo Turner
Yeah.
did some fantastic
Yeah.
jobs making things happen.
Absolutely. That final drive, Romeo, you know, got a PI, a big catch,
Yeah.
you know, and just attacking, you know, DBs vertically, and you know, always a big play threat with Romeo. Has electric speed, can, you know, kind of a big play in a bottle, and just kind of waiting for him to continue to, you know, roll. And had a really big when we needed him at the end. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. My player of the game, offensive-wise, big number 91 in that Wildcat heavy package. Jace Watson was clearing some holes.
Absolutely.
I loved it. He was going in there and just blowing people up.
Yeah.
And we had some good drives, and we were driving down, man, he was filling that hole and just making it big for D.
Absolutely.
Green to get some crucial yards.
Yep. And, you know, as you mentioned, D. Green and Jace, you know, a lot of defensive guys you'll see on that offensive package do a really good job. And, you know, Jace is a really good athlete.
Yes.
You know, Jace is a former basketball player, you know, has really good footwork, can move in space really well, which obviously helps him on his home position at D-line. But yeah, it's he's athletic for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great fullback. All right, let's go ahead and flip on the other side, defense. I saw a lot of good things on defense, and
Yes.
again, it was basically a four-score game.
Right.
So it was heavily contested.
Yep.
Let's talk about that defense.
Yeah, I thought defense, you know, swarmed to the ball. You know, we had a stat, and, you know, Coach Clark and defense staff do a really good job of charting everything, and you know, and try to kind of find like what's the you know, what are the statistics that lead to winning. And, you know, we gave up 4 explosives, you know, which is for us, we define them as 15 yards or more. And you take away those 4 explosives, and you hold them to almost around 100 yards of offense, you know. And so it's like ifs and buts, and we all know that saying. However, you know, we limit those. You get guys on the ground, and really played a pretty good defensive night. Guys, you know, swarming to the football, all those kind of things, you know, minus a few, like we said, explosive plays. So I was really proud of our defense. Obviously, we got to clean up the things that cost us, but, you know, you can't just sit there and, you know, it's like, hey, this is all bad, or hey, this is all good. It's like, well, no, you know, you're somewhere in between, you know. And you know, I have conversations with, you know, a lot of people in my staff, and it's like in the team, you know, we go, you know, hit the PAT, you go win in overtime, you feel better, but you still have the same problems, right? You still have the same corrections. And so we're always trying to look forward to the future to try to make sure to put the best, you know, version of ourselves going forward into the playoffs. But, you know, saw some really good things. And so our player of the game, just by production points alone, was a name that you just mentioned, was Jace Watson. You know, and those guys kind of go unsung sometimes in the defensive line, but he had multiple tackles for loss, always in the backfield. Motor ran really, really well. And as I mentioned previously, Jace is a really athletic kid, really funny kid, kid to be around. Really enjoyed being on a visit with him every day and kind of watching his career blossom. He's doing a really nice job.
Yeah, he's very quick off the ball, sheds those blocks, and multiple tackles in the backfield, just blowing it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I really thought the whole line, they've been working their butts off all year long. And so it's hard to, you know, mention the others also. But Joel Smith, Barlow, they've all been there.
Tyson,
you know,
Brent,
we called a lot of TK.
Yeah.
TK.
Yeah, Tariq Knighton. You know, we call him the missile. You know, he's always finding a way. Really, really smart player. Has a real nose for the football. Very versatile guy. You can play him at a lot of different positions. He picks it up very, very quickly. Has a super, super high football IQ. And it's fun to watch him. You know, you'll watch him on offense sometimes, special teams. Very unselfish player. Very smart young
High
man.
motor.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, a little bit undersized, but you know, makes up for it in every other category, and you can't ever go wrong. You know, watching TK, he's fun to watch. I'm glad he's on our team.
Because I'm sure if you watch film, which I know you did, because you watch a lot of film, it could have easily been 48 against us. But
Yeah.
there was some great solo tackles, not just TK but others, and some like touchdown saving plays. Like this defense is exciting and fun to watch.
Yeah,
and like
absolutely.
we say it on the broadcast all the time, I'm not sure what I want to see out on the field. I don't know if I see the offense or I want to see the defense. I get excited
Right.
every single time. And,
Yeah, they're
you know,
fun to watch.
They can
fly
make something
around and
happen.
Play with extreme effort.
No, TK was mine, like said, flying around,
Yeah.
big tackles. I was getting excited in the booth when
Oh,
I
yeah.
was filling A gap or B gap, flying in
Yep.
there, making the big hit. So TK is mine.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't go wrong there.
All right.
Special teams.
Special
Yeah,
teams.
special
I
teams.
won't jump in on that,
You know,
right.
pretty easy. You know, if you watch that game, you know, a guy that, you know, we call Agent Zero, you know, Israel Hammonds, number 0, rolling around, you know, blocks field goal for a touchdown, multiple kickoff returns, you know, flies down on kickoff, does, you know, about everything that you want. Also scores the game when, you know, should have been tying touchdown at the very end of the game. And so, yeah, he's a guy that's just a football player, you know, and you can put him as a position, but he's just, we call him ATH, you know, just an athlete.
Yep.
He can do anything. Super, super smart kid. Very, very high character young man. Works extremely hard. Great teammate. All those kind of things, and also really good at football. You know, and so Israel, it's like, you know, he may be the O player of the game, maybe the D player of the game, maybe the special teams player of the game.
Right.
But the kid never wants to come off the field. Wants to play every snap. You know, in the recruiting world with colleges, they'll come in, you know, and someone kind of coined this, you know, this question, and you know, they used to ask all the time. They come in, they're like, "Coach, does he love football?" You know, and they used to always ask us that, the college coaches, and you know, without a doubt, emphatically, you can say like Israel loves football. You know, Izzy Hammonds loves football. He doesn't care, you know, if he's playing, you know, receiver, tight end, quarterback, running back, you know, D-line, linebacker, safety.
Yeah.
You know, special teams, doesn't matter. He wants to do it all. So our special teams player of the game, Israel Hammonds.
Okay, and I also have Izzy as
It's hard not to.
and not necessarily the special teams player of the game, almost just the all-purpose player of the
Yeah.
game. And like you said, like even on the broadcast, we were going, okay, Izzy's lined up here. Watch him, because we
Yeah.
want to tell the people at home that something special might just happen on this
It
play.
typically does when he plays, yes.
So
Absolutely.
he's excited to watch, and you can tell that he enjoys the game.
Yes, he does. He enjoys practice. He enjoys the weight room. He enjoys every facet of it. He's just all around great young man.
Yeah, Izzy was my player, or special teams player of the game as well.
Yep.
He's definitely, like you said, the type of young man that you want to keep on the field
Man.
at all times, and it's
Absolutely.
hard to take him off because he can literally play every
I
position.
mean, anything. Yeah, anything.
Swiss Army knife.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we call him.
Yeah.
Really high IQ as well. So yeah, now all those guys did a fantastic job. And again, you know, looking forward to kind of getting back in another district matchup. We love being at home.
Yes.
You know, hasn't been you know, much this year. So our second home game, which I know we're about to preview, homecoming this week.
Yes.
You know, at Bill Jensen Stadium, in front of the best fans in the state, best stadium in the state. And you know, side note, you really, you know, fans come to our game. You know, our game this week versus Southmore, you'll see that, you know, the end zone, you know, complex is starting, the multi-purpose complex is starting to kind of take shape a little bit. You can
So-
see the bones
yeah.
coming up, all that kind of stuff.
We're going to see some new landscape too.
Absolutely, and again, you have like a real collegiate feel to
Yes.
it with you know, our landscaping that we've
Oh,
added
yeah.
in the north end zone looks fantastic. You know, you're starting to get like a real like, you know, it's like, is this the nicest stadium in the state? You
Yeah.
know, it's like you're starting to really
It's
kind of
exciting.
get that vibe, and it's really fun to watch that transform.
Well, including 2A universities. Like there's some 2A universities that we're going to rifle.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
So-
super excited.
Yeah, so again, we have Southmore coming in this week. They're 4-1. They have wins over Westmore, PC North, US Grant, and Lawton Hike, and their only loss is to Moore. So big game ahead of us. What's the mindset heading into this matchup this week?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're not going to be shy. You know, we're going to go attack like we always do, kind of get back to some gold standard football, and you know, be really aggressive. You know, again, it's you know, I've heard a coach say this, and it really is true. It's like, don't lose the game twice. And what that means to me is like, hey, you need to learn your lesson from that loss, and then you need to be rejuvenated and move on. And so we're doing that. From this week, we're excited about the matchup. As you mentioned, Southmore, really good team, 4-1. The coaching staff has those guys rolling, and got a really good quarterback, a really stout defense, a couple Division I guys on defense, good quarterback, all those kind of things. Play kind of a old like mid 2000s Baylor-esque offense, super wide splits, all the stuff. Try to put pressure, a lot of RPO game, all that kind of stuff. Good special teams, good kicker. We'll take some chances, all those kind of things. So it's a team that I think is trying to kind of get on the rise. We're a team that's been on the rise. So it's like it'd be a fun matchup for us. We love playing at home. But like I always say, every week, it's like, man, we got to continue to get better. We got to continue to find solutions to different problems that we have, and then we got to double down on things that are working. And so, this year obviously has been a little bit more challenging than years in the past. What we've had, but we don't shy away from that either. It's like, hey, that happens sometimes, and I'm grateful for the challenges. I'm grateful for the opportunities to grow, because ultimately, on down the road, it's like solving these problems will make you better, not only for this year, for the future. So all that to say, we're excited about the matchup, big district matchup. I know that fans sometimes are maybe accustomed to it being 70-0 at halftime. That's not the case this year. And so we'll continue to scratch and claw and find ways to win the close ones.
You have one small setback. Now we're ready for
absolutely.
refocus, reset, and we're ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and the fans need to understand at home the purpose of the 6A big and 6A small, or 6A1 and 6A2, right, is to make the playing field more competitive. And so Southmore, this is their second year in 6A2, am I correct? Well, they're getting better, and they're going to be competitive. Putnam City finally found, and they're going to be competitive. Our first game,
Monterey.
Piedmont. They were competitive, and we're going to go to Stillwater. They're going to be competitive. This is going to be a very competitive division. It's not going to be easy year in and year out.
No doubt.
It's great that we had a couple teams last year that were a little easy. It's still tough. We were really good, but teams are getting better. They're chasing us, and so we're gonna have some fun football. Is what I'm saying. We're gonna have some fun football.
Yeah, it is fun. And everything's challenging. You take nothing for granted. You have to be airtight on everything to continue to find ways to get better and and eke out victories and all those kind of things. Which obviously makes it more stressful, makes it more fun, all those kind of things as well. But again, like I always say, it's like ultimately it's like you're taking what you have and trying to do the best with what you have and getting them better each and every week. And we have a lot.
Yeah.
We have a lot of great players that are completely committed to the process, completely committed to the program. Know what it takes to play Gold Standard football and take a lot of pride in playing in front of Choctaw and Choctaw's fans. And we also, with that said, all understand hey, the standard's been set really, really high. And that's tough to attain every single year, but that's the standard. And so we're not gonna shy away from that. They understand that hey, we're not where we want to be right now. But the good news is, if we own the problem, we own the solution, right? And so it's a lot of the O in gold is ownership. And we say ownership only works when it's shared by all. And so I told kids on Friday, hey, that one's on me. We'll get better. And then of course they say, no, coach, that's on me. And we have that argument. If it was on. But the bottom line is those are guys I like to be around, and I know those guys like being around me and our staff as well, because we're all working hard to try to solve those issues. And that's what's fun about being part of a team, and part of a program, and sometimes that can be strengthened through adversity. And we found that this week. So it's been a really good week of practice. Been a lot of fun with our kids, and like I keep saying, excited to be in homecoming and back home in front of our fans.
All right, I think it's time for Mr. Vinzer to shine here.
Coach's hot takes. Favorite football movie?
Favorite football movies? A couple good ones. Obviously, people probably it's an old movie now, but it's like most people are gonna say Remember the Titans. That's a great one. It's hard to go away from that one, but I'll go even older than that, and kind of a little movie that kind of slips through the cracks a little bit. I feel like Rudy. Rudy
yes.
is a great football movie. That's probably my favorite favorite football movie.
Do we need to hoist you up?
Yes, please. Yes. I try to have my oldest son watch it, and I think he lost interest.
Yeah.
He's too old at this point. But no, good movie. I'd have to go with Rudy.
Mine would be Friday Night Lights.
That's another
Okay.
great one.
Yeah,
that's
that came out when I was in high school, and
Yep.
I can still watch it, and it still gives me chills.
Yeah.
Yeah, Friday Night Lights is too close to home where they beat my alma mater. And actually that team beat my, but not mine, but my brother, when my brother was in high school. But what I have to say about Rudy, my favorite quote from Rudy is where, come on, back off, like you're going too hard. It's like, I'm helping you get ready for this other team, and if I back off, I'm off the team. Like I have to give it all because this is all I got is my effort. So I love that aspect of it.
Yes.
No one would let me say anything other than Waterboy. That's my favorite. Absolute favorite.
H2O.
I'm just, tackling, and honestly, tackling fuel, a lot of times you got to have a motivation to go out there and do your job. And if it's a water Gatorade debate, fine. Most people have a different thing in their head.
That's a good one.
I gotta love that. All right, I got a question. It's a circus theme, and hopefully we got some circus all around us, and that's why circus theme homecoming. In my business where we do filming, you think about the Greatest Showman, right?
Right.
So if you have the Greatest Showman, what athlete or what coach or what entertainer would you want to come and be the ringleader for the Greatest Show and get your team motivated?
Oh wow! You asked me the motivator for the team.
Yeah,
man. That's tough. I may go. A guy that I grew up watching. Really enjoyed. Obviously, super famous. But I've grown to respect him even more. Just watch some behind the scenes stuff. But maybe Michael Jordan.
Okay.
You talk about someone that kind of practices what they preach and. The guy, when you watch him as a kid, it's like he's so dominant that you're tempted to almost like root against him because he's just so good. And then you kind of like, some behind the scenes stuff and some interviews and stuff like that. You see just, how hard that guy worked, how hard he pushes teammates, all those kind of things, makes me have a lot of respect for him. I'd probably go Michael Jordan.
Okay. Yeah. I like that.
That's a good one.
What about you? What do you think? Who would you want?
Motivator? Maybe like E.T.
Yeah, Eric Thomas.
I know that dude. You watch any of his videos, you want to run through a brick wall after he gets talking to you. Great motivation speaker, and he really gets people fired up about working from the bottom all the way to the top when it's just him versus him.
And you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that'd be a good one. That'd be a very good one.
Yeah. See, I go way back. I go to Tom Landry, Coach Landry. Comes out with the hat and just all that stuff, and he just like, I like Tom Landry. That's really
that'd be a good one.
Okay.
I guess it's about time to wrap this up. Again, we're at home Friday night. It's homecoming.
Yes.
We're excited. We hope you come out. It's circus theme, correct? Or the Greatest Showman.
Absolutely.
That's our theme. The homecoming parade is Thursday night.
Yep.
Which
is awesome.
Yeah, it's a huge event, and it's great to see the community come out. The kids are always excited. So again, Friday night, Bill Jensen Stadium. If you can't watch it, you can tune in to Yellow Jacket TV or ChoctawAthletics.com. But Coach, thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Guys. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in, and always
stay golden.
sting 'em.
Sting 'em.